Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something I had a viewer say, and people take things completely out of context. Because, he had said, look, you promote maxing out regularly, and there was a study link. I saw Greg Knuckles and some other people linking some data showing that power lifters have slightly higher injury rates than bodybuilders. And it's because bodybuilders lift light all the time and powerlifters lift heavy all the time. And the problem you have with statistics like that is that in order to make such a blanket statement, you have to understand the different systems. And what a lot of people forget is that I don't promote general powerlifting training. I promote the conjugate method. Okay? And we need to be very, very clear between the distinction there. I'm not promoting that people hit a true 1 rep max back squat all the time, and I sure as hell don't promote heavy triples. I don't promote 5 rep maxes. Okay? And this is the problem. A lot of people who do these sort of things, who you think of as pushing really heavy weight, they do things like that I even tell you this is not the way to do it injury free. The system that I use has been devised by coaches decades ago who realized very, very quickly the fastest way to reduce injuries is to do what? To rotate your max effort lifts. Okay, not only but to avoid very, very heavy low rep sets. Okay? Because if we start looking at what causes injuries, it's usually massive form degrading, and that's not even that high of a chance. Keep in mind, terrible form, your form breaking down only has a very, very low risk of injuring you. And in fact, we've seen some experts point out, if you continually, repeatedly use the same bad form and you've adapted to it and built a support musculature, you probably will not get hurt even using that bad form. Which does bring us to another point. You'll see people all the time who will see someone basically at a world record level holding strength who doesn't have injuries, and they'll talk about their form being bad. And it's like, clearly their form is better than yours. I mean, if they're lifting more weight than you can lift, they're lifting more weight than 99% of lifters can lift, particularly for their class, and they're not hurt, they clearly have the best form in the world. Let that one sink in for a moment. But we'll come back over to the point. It can be form degrading to outside of your normal form. It can cause injuries. And overuse causes injuries. Those are your injuries. It's not because you lifted a heavy weight. Okay? And the problem is you can't take statistics like that of two different competitive endeavors which literally have 500 different training styles in each of them and extrapolate that a specific training style is to blame. Because I would argue the style I use, even though it includes max effort work, actually has a very, very low injury rate. And the guys who've running it have observed where the injuries tend to happen. Because here's the problem we have. Right? Exercise science is 30 years behind what's going on in the gym at any given time for strength and conditioning. Okay? It's 30 years behind. You can't study these variables the same way the coaches can who have a team of 30 lifters or 20 lifters. You can't, just by looking at variables in the lab. You're not going to observe what they observe. And again, that's a perfect example. A study like that is exactly what we're talking about, of not being able to look at any variables at all. Like you can draw nothing of real value from that data. Because, by the way, both groups had very, very low injury risk. Like, injury rates are actually low in powerlifting too. People don't realize that. You compare powerlifting to most sports, it actually is a very low injury rate sport. I mean, people don't think of basketball or soccer as dangerous sports, right? If you don't think they're dangerous sports, then powerlifting is probably the safest thing you've ever heard of, because you're way more likely to get hurt playing basketball or soccer than you are powerlifting. Like at any sort of competitive level. Yeah. I mean, that's what the data will tell you. So let's come back over to that. Running and jumping is clearly more dangerous than competition maxes. if we go by that data. So let's come back over to this. All right, overuse. Overuse is really what hurts us. A lot of the experts looking at it agree on that. It is overuse injuries. Well, you have a system to where you change exercises every time you max out, which is what I advocate. Okay, I want people to be very, very clear. When people see me talking about the max effort method, it's not a blanket statement. I'm not telling people maxing out all the time is good. I'm telling people using this system is good, which happens to include maxing out. And maxing out is not inherently dangerous. Maxing out is only dangerous when we try to do, number one, multiple reps or we get overuse injuries. And even then, it's by far not the most dangerous thing you could be doing. There are way more dangerous physical activities than exercise. Rotate exercises. I mean, you guys are seeing just different examples in here. Look how many different deadlift variations I do. Right, even these, I do 3 different types of deadlift in this video that are all conventional. Change your movement patterns. It's normal on the system I do to go 6 to 12 weeks before maxing on the same movement again. We rotate movements, so we're changing the loading all the time. You also, when you change the loading all the time, you become more injury resistant. People don't seem to grasp that either. And I've seen some experts and doctors who are lifters discuss that in the past. All right? We're more injury resistant. The more movement patterns, variations that you practice lifting really heavy on, the more resilient you are to injury. Because you tend to have built your body to be able to handle maximum loads at different angles. So when you get pushed into odd angles, you tend to be able to rebound from it quicker. Okay, because your ability to clean your form back up when something goes squirrely, or to push through a groove and not get loose, makes you more resistant to injury. Plus, we're just going to get less overuse injuries because we rotate. So it's the same with our supplemental work. You know, people be like, how come you change to different types of closed grip pressing all the time? Why do you do these different things? Why do you change the type of rows you do? Why do you do different types of good mornings? Why can't you just stick with one thing? That's the same people who cry that people get hurt. Rotating movement patterns helps prevent overuse injuries. Changing the movements while keeping even the movement pattern the same helps with that. We change the loading on the tendons and everything. We get less overuse injuries. Rotate movements. That includes your max work on a very, very high level, and it absolutely includes your supplemental work. What else do we need to do? Avoid 2, 3, 4, 5 rep maxes. When we do 1 rep maxes, we are concentrating, especially if it's a new lift, especially if it's a lift we haven't maxed on in a while. What do we spend all of our time doing? Focusing on 1 rep, getting tight, maintaining tightness. We are tight and we are focused. What happens when you're tight and you're focused? When you miss a lift, it tends to be a lot cleaner, right? We see clean misses of lifts. We don't see ourselves get dragged into really bad positions and pulled or pushed into bad positions because we're tight. And if we miss a lift, we just miss a lift. Okay, we just miss it. We get stapled, the bar hits the safeties. We go straight down on the bench. We go straight down on the squat. We don't get pulled all catawampus to where we pull something out of place. We go straight down to the pins. On the deadlift, we tend to go straight down. The bar just goes straight down if we miss a lift, and we let go of it, or we get pulled down, right? But we're tight on the attempt. What happens when we try a 3 rep max? We get fatigued. Like, you grab 90% of your true all-out max and go for a triple with it, and something goes wrong on the 3rd rep. The 1st rep looks clean. But have you ever noticed on a 3 rep set or even a 10 rep set that every rep is slightly different? If you were to slow them all down and look at them with a camera that could zoom in super close, do you know your bar path will be different? Even on a 10 rep bench press set, every rep is slightly different. They're not identical. What do you think they look like on heavy triples? Your reps look different. You have a different level of tightness on each concentric rep. Right? Getting loose will get you hurt. Getting loose will get you hurt when you miss a heavy lift. So I'm suggesting to you that max triples and max doubles are inherently riskier than 1 rep maxes, even though you're using 5 or 10, 12% less weight on the bar. Because you know what? 90% of 600 pounds is still like 540. That's still a pretty heavy weight. All right. Might I suggest that there's where your injuries occur? That, and let's go for a max triple on the exact same lift every week. Okay. There's your injury risk, not from maxes. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.